This program is brought to you by the new Serena from Nissan. The new Nissan.
First in news, this is 10 Eyewitness News with Sandra Sully.
Good evening. Tonight in 10 Eyewitness News, Australia's retailers laughing all the way to the bank. Fight Back does it for the Federal Coalition, and in the skies over Iran, Saddam Hussein appears to have miscalculated his enemies once again.
Well, I don't know what he's doing, but he made a big mistake, didn't he?
First, the post-Christmas sales that promise a shopping-led national recovery. Retailers tonight are confident that when they add up their sales this December, they'll better last year's $10 billion bonanza.
The lust for a post-Christmas bargain had them queuing outside Melbourne's big retail stores today. That's despite the fact that the door-busting specials don't go on sale until 8 o'clock tomorrow. And with those sales will come the shopping stampede. In Sydney yesterday, customers were trampled in the rush for bargains. In Melbourne, Myer have appealed for calm tomorrow. They've put on extra security and say police will be on hand to control crowds. But they reject suggestions they're inviting trouble with a massive price reduction on some items.
Obviously, there are people who really do try to get those particular bargains. We hope that we have the system operating effectively enough after many years of practice at this particular event that we're able to do it with maximum safety.
In Canberra today, it was the young who were heading the bargain hunters' frenzy. Meanwhile, in Adelaide, they've been queuing there for 2 days for tomorrow's sales. And in Perth, they've also camped out overnight to ensure they're among the lucky ones. In Melbourne, Kmart is trying to jump the queue on trading by opening just after midnight tonight. And David Jones is hoping to snare shoppers from its big city cousins by opening at 7:30 tomorrow morning. But Myer Melbourne believes it will grab a big chunk of the retail dollar with its door-busting specials. There's already plenty of interest in some of the door-busters available in Myer tomorrow. Refrigerators reduced from $1,600 down to just $300. The one problem, there's only 7 available. Myer says the reaction so far to post-Christmas sales could mean a retail-led recovery for our economy. Norm Bevan, 10 Eyewitness News.
Also recovering the Federal Coalition. It surged ahead of the ALP in the polls for the first time in months.
The Coalition's move to revamp its tough fight-back policies looks like it's paying off. The Morgan Gallup poll was taken a few days after the new package was released. Support for the Coalition jumped 4.5 points since the last survey in mid-December to 45.5%. The ALP dropped 1 point to 44.5%. Meanwhile, support for the Democrats slipped 1.5% to 2.5%, and support for other parties dropped 2% to 7.5%. The Coalition's latest rating is the highest since August and confirms the Liberal and National parties are slowly edging their way back into contention.
Mr Keating must be kicking himself that he didn't go to a pre-Christmas poll, and I think our position will continue to strengthen as we go through January heading towards the next election.
On a two-party preferred basis, the government would have won an election with 51% of the vote, compared to the Coalition's 49%. Stephanie Kennedy, 10 Eyewitness News.
For South Australia's rural community, the outlook, though, is bleak. A $13 million fruit crop has just been wiped out. Renmark growers today discussed their plight with South Australian Primary Industries Minister Terry Groom.
At a briefing this morning, Mr Groom was asked to meet the demands of growers who in total have lost 50% of fruit crops.
They're very worried where they're going to go from here.
Out in the fields, the minister saw for himself the devastation. Growers who had been working solidly for days trying to drain their properties were showing the strain.
$35,000 for the apricots and $1,000 over the fruit for the market.
The Tran family are the worst hit. Apricots and plum trees have been wiped out to the tune of $200,000.
The market fruit was dying and they had marks and you can't really sell them anymore.
Growers estimate a large extent of trees and vines will have to be replanted. It'll take 4 to 5 years before they are again productive. Growers will receive immediate assistance through the Rural Adjustment Scheme. They've also asked the government for long-term, low-interest finance.
We have to, throughout South Australia, assess the full extent of the damage and then wield an even and fair hand and give farmers and growers proper and effective support.
While growers wait for assistance, they continue the race against time to drain their properties and salvage what they can. Tanya Perry in Renmark for 10 Eyewitness News.
A man is in a stable condition in hospital tonight after the second major fire at a Sydney hotel in 18 months. 47 guests were evacuated as firefighters battled the blaze at the Hampton Court Hotel in King's Cross. Officers fought through acrid smoke to rescue residents trapped on every level of the 9-storey building. 4 people, including 1 fireman, were taken to hospital suffering smoke inhalation. Investigators are looking into claims that some fire doors were locked. The hotel is undergoing a $1 million upgrade following an arson attack last June. The cause of the second blaze is not yet known. Iraqi President Saddam Hussein has threatened retaliation for the downing of an Iraqi MiG jet by American fighters. The United States says the warplane intruded into the UN's no-fly zone and threatened the aircraft that intercepted it.
According to the Pentagon, the incident began at 10:20 local time when 2 Iraqi MiG fighters crossed the 32nd parallel into the southern no-fly zone. The MiGs were challenged by American forces and withdrew. But 20 minutes later, 2 more Iraqi planes were spotted about 20 miles inside the zone. 2 American F-16s issued a verbal warning, but the Iraqi planes turned to confront them. The Americans responded, shooting down one of the MiGs. The other escaped.
President Bush, continuing his holiday in Texas, said if Saddam Hussein sought to test American will during the period of political transition, the F-16 fighters sent him a clear message.
Well, I don't know what he's doing, but he made a big mistake, didn't he?
Allied warplanes have flown thousands of missions over Iraq since the end of the Gulf War, but this is the first aerial combat. It comes after repeated U.S. intelligence reports of increased pressure from Baghdad against Kurds in the north and Shiites in the south.
I don't know how much one ought to read into this, but I must say that it seems to me part of a pattern over the last several months of increasing Iraqi aggressiveness and challenging the UN, both in terms of the inspections and in terms of the relief effort.
The Baghdad government's attacks on its own rebellious people after the Gulf War led the United Nations to declare a no-fly zone over Kurdish areas, enabling Allied forces to offer large-scale humanitarian relief. Then last August, another no-fly zone was declared over Shiite territory in the south, effectively limiting Saddam Hussein's power to central Iraq, which he refused to accept. Early this month, U.S. intelligence spotted Iraqi troops massing in the north, followed by the harassment of UN teams and the destruction of 6 relief trucks. Saddam Hussein said today he wants to reassert his authority in the north, and on the aerial clash, Iraq reserved the right to respond after their aircraft were attacked by the Evil Alliance while on routine patrol over national soil.
When we come back, a mass rescue of stranded whales, Somalia's armed gangs closer to being disarmed, but for Sarajevo, winter's bitter chill adds to the city's misery.
This has been the largest biological experiment by the world community, having siege of Sarajevo for 9 months and doing nothing.
Success tonight for hundreds of rescue workers who've saved a large pod of whales off New Zealand. 60 pilot whales had tried to beach themselves at Farewell Spit, the northern tip of the South Island. They arrived around midnight, and within hours, hundreds of volunteers had donned wetsuits and were in the water coaxing the mammals back out to sea. 4 died during the rescue operation. As international forces move to secure the last of the 8 key towns in Somalia, the country's 2 major warlords have agreed to a truce. Thousands watched as the former enemies embraced each other and agreed to remove the so-called Green Line that marked their territory.
The event was a rally to mark the Green Line's promised dismantling.